Story 1. Probably my ability to stay calm and think clearly no matter what's happening. I don't get thrown off easily. Story 2. I have a sense of humor and love making people laugh. Otherwise, I have low self-esteem. Story 3. I can effortlessly pursue goals, not worry about how difficult they will be, and enjoy the journey. After talking with friends, I have realized how hard that is for others, but it comes naturally to me. Story 4. I don't get lonely. I prefer being alone, although I have a partner, and I really enjoy my own company. Story 5. I have very wavy dark blonde hair, so I keep it long with a beard and often look like a fantasy character. I am also quite good at guitar. Story 6. I am intelligent. I remember things that other people cannot. I attend schools that others cannot get into. Story 7. I am a very good listener. Coworkers often open up to me because I am attentive, quiet, and maintain eye contact. Often I hear, "I have never told anyone this before." Story 8. My humility is unmatched. I am the best in the world at being humble. Story 9. I have the ability to read people and get a good vibe from them early on. It is not 100%, but I am usually right. It is a good skill to have. Story 10. Great thread, original poster. My strength is that if I set my mind to something, I can accomplish it. Story 11. I can repair almost anything after reading how it works. Story 12. Despite growing up anxious and introverted, I have become socially skilled and enjoy connecting with others. I am not a people pleaser, but I do care deeply about people. I stand up for those around me, from close friends to struggling classmates. I go out of my way to show extra kindness to women, children, and animals. I empathize and sympathize with others and have developed a strong capacity to show up for people emotionally. I love making people laugh and helping them enjoy whatever part of their day they are in. Story 13. I would say I am pretty good at controlling my emotions and mental pain. Story 14. My ability to love and be there for myself, no matter what, allows me to succeed in life. Story 15. I am reliable and thoughtful. My friends are fortunate to have me, and I feel the same because I tend to attract people like that. When I say I will be somewhere, I show up. I have very little tolerance for flakiness. Story 16. I value humor and insist on being informed. I refuse to stake a claim without having more than a basic understanding of what we're discussing. Story 17. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I believe everyone I meet is a nice person until they prove otherwise. Story 18. I am humble and do not inflate myself by talking about it. Wait. Story 19. I care. I am usually kind despite my bitterness, and no matter how dark my life has gotten, I have not given up yet. Story 20. My care for others is also what brings me down. I've had to force myself to be selfish lately, or I most likely would have ended everything a year ago. I'm sorry you are feeling this way. Are you safe right now? If you are in immediate danger, please call your local emergency number, for example, 911 in the United States. If you are in the United States, you can call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you are elsewhere, please contact local emergency services or a crisis line. Consider reaching out to someone you trust or a mental health professional. If you want, I can help you find local resources or make a safety plan. Story 21. My eyes are insane in a good way. I am an extremely proficient nurse and I genuinely care. Story 22. I put myself in other people's shoes. At times it can be a bit of a flaw, but I wouldn't change my superpower. Keeps me listening intently and helps me get along with people from all walks of life. Story 23. I have great breasts. I am 55 and they do not droop. That makes me very happy. Story 24. My ability to use the pain I have experienced to help others who are struggling. Story 25. I can fold almost any piece of fabric into a neat square or rectangle. Yes, even fitted sheets. Jokes aside, I'm resilient. I have not developed post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know what would happen if I had, but I have been through a lot nonetheless. No matter what happened, and despite constant pain and depression, I kept myself alive. I ate and drank, I showered, I dragged myself to work, and I stayed in touch with the most important people in my life. I survived, and once the difficult or even traumatic period was over, I recovered and eventually thrived. Story 26. Physically, my lips are beautiful, like Scarlett Johansson's, and completely natural. I love how resilient and adaptable I am. Story 27. One thing I can say is that I am genuine. What you see is what you get. I am not a pushover. If I do not want to do something, I will not do it, no matter who or how many people try to push me. I am generally a kind person as long as people respect my boundaries and do not try to force me into doing things I do not want to do. Other than that, I pretty much dislike myself laughing out loud. But who does not nowadays? Story 28. One of the things I like most about myself is my intelligence in life. Little by little, I have learned by looking back on what happened to me so that when it happens again, I know how to deal with it in a fairer and more mature way. I like to share this knowledge with people I appreciate, although some do not see it that way. It is another thing I am proud of. Story 29. I am still there for people who have done me wrong because I care too much and know they would not do the same for me, but it's just who I am. Story 30. My favorite part is that my brain is a dumpster fire that still makes sense to me. Story 31. Critical thinking and a willingness to debate and play devil's advocate productively. Story 32. How passionately I talk about my cat and the things I hate and love. Story 33. According to my parents, my body, and my hair, my personality is my ability to get along with and relate to anyone. Story 34. I am very good at building strong personal relationships. I love helping others and will often forego my own needs to assist them. Story 35. Awareness can sometimes be overwhelming. I love seeing the gaps that most people do not see in themselves. Story 36. I like my humor and creativity. When I was younger, I made my parents' handmade crafts. For a child, they turned out really well, and my parents kept all my gifts. Friends and coworkers have often told me I am witty and hilarious. It is one of my favorite qualities because I make myself laugh. I am my own comedian. Story 37. Big picture thinking. Always taking a minute to step back to consider effects or reasons beyond the immediate, obvious, first order. It can keep conversations going for a long time simply by playing devil's advocate. Story 38. I am so cooked I cannot even think of one quality. Maybe my sense of humor. Story 39. I am determined. I can do a lot when I put my mind to it. Story 40. My friends tell me my voice sounds soothing and relaxing. Story 41. I think I am pretty creative and knowledgeable about certain things. Story 42. I am genuinely kind and care deeply about others, but do not fucking cross me. You will not be met with kindness. Story 43. My resilience and a positive mental attitude have kept me alive. Without them, I would not be here today. Story 44. I could totally be a great chef, or an actor, or a director. I should direct movies. I'd be a genius at it. If you take the average person with the average sensibility, sense of humor, or view of the world and compare it to the way I see things and the ideas I come up with, there's no comparison. Besides, I'm much better at sports than anyone I know except Wally and those tall black basketball players. I played with them and earned their respect. Wally said, "Denny, you're the only white friend I can take uptown and hang out with my friends without feeling embarrassed." Story 45. I've worked absurdly hard for the privilege of doing whatever I want and being able to afford the consequences of my actions. Within reason, I don't worry about speeding tickets or walking the dog with a cold beer in my hand. I don't go to jury duty or buy fishing licenses. I don't have to do anything I don't want to, and I don't care if others find that selfish or entitled. Story 46. I have strong-looking arms and speak with a confident tone. People gravitate toward me as if I am a leader. I have no idea what I say sometimes or what I am doing. Story 47. I stay calm and react in moments when others panic and freeze. People tell me it's my superpower. I laugh out loud. I can't fly, so I'll take it. Story 48. I can sing very well. I wanted to train as an opera singer, but vocal cord nodules forced me to stop singing just as I started college. I took a 4-year break, and the nodules eventually healed. Now I sing for fun, at occasional weddings with rock band, or at karaoke. Story 49. Generosity and kindness. I give things away and help friends in need without a second thought because making others feel good makes me happy. I would be a richer man if I did not. Story 50. I am pretty clever and have cool blue eyes. I think I am a good dad too. Story 51. I am the person people come to when they need to vent, a shoulder to lean on, or reassurance. I had none of that growing up, so I know the pain of being alone in a world that does not seem to care and the feeling that life will keep spinning regardless of what you have been through. I believe I have been a turning point for those whose lives I have touched, often being told I am wise beyond my years and that I have an old soul. I have helped change people's perspectives when they are at a low point. Story 52. I have a fairly high pain tolerance. When I had an ingrown toenail, my podiatrist, the foot doctor, worked on it and I found it bearable. When I had diverticulitis, I was able to walk 15 minutes to the hospital. I do not know why I did not call an ambulance. It is free in my country. So yeah, that is handy. Story 53. I always want to know more. I love that learning never stops for me. Story 54. People do not bother me, and I do not mind if someone cuts me off in traffic. I am calm and not a panicky person. However, inside I do not have it together. It is just that those around me count on me, so having a stable mind and a generally content personality keeps them at ease. Story 55. I have 3 things going for me. I am fairly tall, just under 6 feet 1 inch. I have gray eyes, which is the only physical trait I have ever been complimented on. People most often say that I am very smart. That is about it. Everything else about me is average at best. Story 56. People would say humor. I want to go with skepticism. I will not accept that just because you said so. Story 57. My self-love has grown. I am much more developed than most women, which made life difficult through my late teens and even recently in early adulthood. It has taken all of that time to appreciate who I am, regain a lot of confidence, and find friends who truly appreciate me. Story 58. I can make music. I play string instruments exceptionally well. Story 59. I think I'm hilarious. My husband tells me that every day. I look absolutely amazing for my age. Story 60. My ability to learn any dance, even the most difficult, is very fast. I can learn 3 in less than 24 hours. Story 61. During an emergency, my adult brain goes calm, assesses the situation, and I get to work. Anxiety, panic attacks, and cluttered thinking subside, and a better version of myself takes over until the situation is resolved. Story 62. I don't find myself attractive compared to some of my closest friends. I'm in good shape and have a positive outlook. This makes me seem approachable. Whenever I go dancing, women often approach me to dance. Occasionally they even buy me drinks or ask for my contact information. Friends ask how I do it, but I do not understand. Story 63. The fact that I have a certain confidence just brings out the worst in people. Story 64. The way my soul patch grows, it swoops out to either side once it gets long enough. It looks like I have a small mustache under my bottom lip. Story 65. I value my creativity and my desire to treat people well. Story 66. I am kind of a screw-up, but I always try to do the right thing and treat people with kindness. Story 67. I used to learn things easily, but then I had a stroke. Now sometimes I don't recognize where I am even though I know I should, and I find myself totally blanking on the person who performs Amish Paradise, even though I know who it is. Story 68. I love my appearance. People often say I am beautiful or think I am a model. I like how it makes me feel confident and comfortable in social settings and interviews because pretty privilege exists. Story 69. My appearance and intelligence make me approachable. I am friendly to people. Story 70. My comedic timing is impeccable. I can't tell a story or a joke worth a crap, but in a real-life scenario I can make almost anyone laugh with my witty responses. I can also bullshit my way through a conversation about anything. I once had an hour-long conversation about soccer with a soccer fanatic, even though I have never watched a soccer game. I don't know anything about the sport. I'm just good at responding in the right way to keep the other person talking. Story 71. I have charisma and natural leadership. Some bosses dislike me, while good leaders appreciate me. It is almost like a radar for bad bosses. Story 72. I'm the calmest person you'll ever meet. There might be chaos going on all around me, but I'll be cool as a cucumber. Story 73. I have the ability to learn anything. I can study any subject and pass related exams anywhere in the world if the reward is large enough. Story 74. I have relentless willpower. If I set a goal, even a wildly difficult one, I will work until it is done. Story 75. I can see whether people actually change, whether someone has genuinely become a better person or has become an idiot or is disrespectful. This also means I can forgive people easily. Story 76. The ability to make friends and forge bonds. Thank God. So, charisma, I guess. Story 77. I look at things in a rational and objective way, particularly political topics. I think through each topic individually before coming to a conclusion, rather than using a one-size-fits-all label such as liberal or conservative. I also love that I am beautiful. Story 78. Ability to complete tasks effectively close to deadlines. Story 79. I find a way to get what I want or to get out of trouble. I am seldom in trouble. I mean difficult circumstances rather than having done something wrong. Story 80. My looks. I didn't get to choose, but I thank my mom and dad and God for them. Story 81. My curiosity has gotten me into trouble, but it has also led me to everything I am passionate about. Story 82. It is probably not healthy if I stare at this for a while and cannot identify anything I truly like about myself. Story 83. My ability to master any skill that interests me is how I became a goldsmith. Also, my enormous dong. Story 84. I am kind, creative, a good friend, and witty. I have large breasts. Story 85. It has taken some time to achieve this, but I am mostly not full of nonsense. Story 86. People always assume it's my breasts, but it's actually my butt. Story 87. I get great joy and satisfaction from helping people achieve their dreams. Story 88. My balls do not have a single wrinkle. I am in my 40s. When I stand on my head, people mistake me for Stanley Tucci. Story 89. I have done many things that seemed impossible. I went through struggles and made it through. I would call that resilience. Story 90. Situational awareness. The best way to solve a problem is to avoid it. Story 91. I get over things people say and do to me rather quickly. On the one hand, it is kind of annoying. They probably deserve colder treatment or for me not to help them when they need it. On the other hand, I cannot imagine how bitter and sad I would be if I let these things upset me as much as they should. Story 92. My ability to see patterns and how they connect is part of prenatal exposure to Tylenol, and it is why I love history so much. Story 93. I spent my entire life being called immature or feeling far behind my peers in social maturity and emotional intelligence. Now I can de-escalate situations with ease, and people say that my thoughtful approach to my career will show everyone how mature I am. I speak up when I'm not okay, although often at the last minute. I still have a lot of growth ahead. Story 94. Intelligence. I am a statistical outlier with respect to spatial cognition and fluid intelligence. I am lucky enough to learn about complicated and exciting subjects very quickly, remember them, and immediately apply them to the real world. Can be pretty lonely, but in my opinion it is worth it for the perspective it gives me on the world. Story 95. I do not know what to choose. The only thing I dislike about myself is procrastination. Story 96. I value my empathy and my ability to understand and forgive people. I have near-extreme cognitive empathy. I can intellectually understand almost anyone's motivations and rationale for doing something, and I often find some degree of merit in their actions. I appreciate this ability, And I especially appreciate that over the years I have learned to temper it with firm boundaries and accountability that prevent me from tolerating or excusing mistreatment. I believe this skill is very useful because most people who act out need to be seen and understood in order to accept their mistakes. Simply chastising, shaming, or guilting people, especially those who act out because they never developed healthy coping skills, often makes them react defensively and entrenches destructive habits. Showing people that you understand where they are coming from while also condemning the harmful aspects of their behavior is usually the most effective way to reach them. It humanizes you and establishes a point of connection that is otherwise absent. Simply condemning someone or their behavior often creates an implicit power struggle by establishing a hierarchy in which you are above them as their moral superior. People tend to rebel against this, especially in private relationships. That is, when you are romantic partners or co-workers, you are not their religious or spiritual advisor or mentor. In those cases, people often find implicit role assignment to be presumptuous, pretentious, or unfair. I also appreciate my facility with language. I have a very high verbal intelligence quotient, and while some people dismiss skill with vocabulary as semantics, I believe that is a defensive reaction. Semantics are important. They define words and concepts. A facility with words allows one to convey meaning with high fidelity, facilitates clear communication, and supports shared understanding and unity of purpose in discussion. This also ties into my earlier point. Without this ability, people often struggle to be understood or to ensure their conversational partner is fully understood. Accurate rephrasing is essential to active listening. I typically summarize and edit expressions to make them more succinct and clear, which helps people focus and better understand themselves. Many people are not adept at intrapersonal or interpersonal awareness and communication. The evidence is how easily people fight over misunderstandings, loose speech, presumptions, and lack of reading comprehension, and how many would benefit from basic therapy or self-help books and exercises. The ability to intuit coping skills or healthy adaptations can follow from properly understanding language. I am proud of my ability to be logical and rational. To me, this is another consequence of self-awareness and linguistic ability. Although many people believe they are more logical than average, I have been tested and I have an above-average innate logical ability. This does not prevent me from acting in self-defeating ways at times. Intellectual capacity for logic does not guarantee emotional health or the mental resources needed at any given moment. However, having that capacity makes it easier to address problems when I do have the necessary resources. I recognize when I need to cultivate emotional receptiveness, and that requires self-care, including mental and physical rest, self-acceptance, and gentle socializing. Story 97. I don't need technology to be entertained. I have the inner resources and imagination to occupy myself entirely with my brain. Story 98. I've been told I give the best advice several times. I've also been told it's because I'm brutally honest, and receiving advice from me is like taking an ego beating from Mike Tyson. But we'll focus on the good part. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.